Hey, happy Monday. Hello. It is Shamaree. I am a relationship and intimacy coach, and I empower women to get the confidence and pleasure that they deserve so that they no longer settle for lack of satisfaction, especially in relationships. And I do these weekly Q&As where I answer questions that are submitted to me throughout the week. And if you follow me, which you should be doing, if you're not doing it, go do it. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you add me to your favorites and all of that. But throughout the week, I post in my story and I let you guys go ahead and submit questions directly to me so that I can answer the questions that you guys really want answers to. So like I said, follow me, add me to your favorites so you don't miss anything, and make sure that you're watching my story throughout the week so that if you have a question, something comes to you, you can submit it directly to me and I can add it to the list. Because I do keep a list of these questions. So typically I answer about 4 questions each time, just so that this is not super long, but so that I can give you at least a little bit of something in the answer, right? But if you have more specific questions related to your situation that does not fit in the question box when I put it in my story, or if you feel like your situation has a particular context that makes it different than it may read when I read the question, then you definitely want to either join my Facebook group so that you can get a little bit of a free response. But the other way that you can get a free response from me is by booking a clarity call with me. So I opened up my calendar for the month of May, and I'm doing 60-minute clarity calls. So if you have a specific situation, something that you want to work on in relation to relationships and or intimacy, then you definitely want to get on the calendar. It's no cost to you at all. So if you are interested in doing that, then you want to go ahead and look in my Instagram bio. And if you click on my link, the Easy Tree, it's going to be the first section there. Book a clarity call with me, and you can go ahead and choose whatever time works best for you. So definitely get in there. But I do want to get into these questions so that this is not too long. So the first one, I think most of us, if not all of us, know. If you keep up with like urban social media, then you heard about the Envy and his wife and the situation there, right? So the question that I wanted to answer is, why would someone fake an orgasm, right? So if you've been keeping up, you know she admitted that she had been faking orgasms with her husband for a significant portion of their relationship. So why would someone do this, right? So there's a few reasons. So one, I think most of us can kind of infer is to protect the other person's feelings or to not hurt the other person's feelings. So a lot of times when people are faking orgasms, it's because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. So they kind of play it up like they're having a great time, even if they may not be having a great time. And also to maybe avoid an argument. Sometimes people do get defensive if they hear news that they don't like. So that is something to obviously keep in mind. Yes, that happens, but there are several other reasons, and I did want to go over those as well. So another reason could be that they don't know what an orgasm is, what it looks like, what it feels like, right? When we learn about orgasm, typically that is not within the context of learning from like our parents, learning in sex ed. That's typically not something that's covered, right? So the only way that we come to learn about these things is through social interactions or through the media. And when we're watching movies or TV shows, the only evidence that they have in those contexts of showing that an orgasm has happened is the theatrics of it, right? So that's when you hear the screaming and the that sort of thing, right? And that's not always what it is. Not everyone experiences orgasm in that way. And that is not the key indicator for an orgasm, because anyone can put on the theatrics, that doesn't mean that anything is actually happening, right? Because in the movies, we can't see if the vagina is actually reacting. We can't see if there's secretion or any type of bodily fluid coming from the body. We can't really see the heart rate changing. We can't really see all of these indicators, right? The only thing that we can see is how they throw their body back, throw their head back, close their eyes, and the sounds that they make. So a lot of times we think that that's it, right? And it's not. So sometimes we just don't know. And if we don't know, like, it's very hard to say that it's something that's happened. Another thing is we don't know how to make that happen. So most women do not orgasm from penetrative sex. So that means that if that's the only thing that you're doing, and if that's one of the only ways that you will have an orgasm, it's just not likely that it's going to happen if that's all that you're doing. So that's why you hear all about clitoral stimulation, because that is typically how most women are able to orgasm. So if that's not something that you've been incorporating, make sure you do so, whether that's with your hands manually, or if you need to introduce some type of an addition, a toy or something. But definitely, if that's something that you are experiencing a lack of orgasm and you're not using your clitoris, then definitely try it out, see if it works. And then there was a few other things that I wanted to mention. Yes, the big one, psychological block. So a lot of times it's not that you're trying to be deceitful or you're trying to pad someone else's feelings. It could be that there's some type of psychological block that is preventing you from getting to that point of, whether it's safety and comfort, like you just don't feel safe enough to let yourself relax, let yourself go in the moment. Whether that's shame, maybe you feel ashamed or fearful of what you will do or how you will react. Because a lot of times, if you've had one before, when you have an orgasm, it's not always the most prettiest thing in the world. So just that fear or guilt around what that would look like and what that would appear to the other person involved, being embarrassed about that could potentially be a form of a block. But then also, if you have past trauma or past experiences that have taught you that it's not safe, or it's reminding you of an unsafe experience. So these are all things that could potentially lead to someone faking, because they don't want you to see their vulnerability, to see that they're having this psychological block, to see that they're embarrassed, to see that they're shameful. And that shame doesn't always have to come from trauma. It can also come from things like what we're taught. So women are not necessarily taught or expected to enjoy their sexuality, to enjoy sex, and if they're not taught that, it can feel shameful, or if they're taught that you have to be pure, you shouldn't be having sex, and maybe they did get in a situation where they're having premarital sex and they feel shameful, they feel guilty about it. So it's hard to enjoy it when you're not able to be fully present in it. So those psychological blocks are very big, because the brain, the biggest sex organ, the most powerful part of a sexual experience. Because if you really think about it, I know, if you're grown and we've all had a sex dream, right? We've all had them. And you can have an orgasm in your sleep. There's no stimulation going on, and you can still have an orgasm. So it's not always about just the physical aspect. It can also be psychological. It could be a mental block that's holding you back. And then the last one that I did want to mention is just not liking what you're doing. Sometimes we get in a rut. We do the same thing over and over and over again. And if that's all that we're doing, like I said, with the penetration type of sex, if you keep doing that and that's not what's bringing you to orgasm, it's not likely that you're going to reach orgasm by doing that same thing. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a new result. So sometimes you have to switch it up. If you're not enjoying what you're doing and you're not letting the other person know that you're not enjoying what you're doing, then that makes it harder for you to get to that point of orgasm. So those are the reasons. Let me just kind of recap the 5 examples that I mentioned. So reasons why someone would fake an orgasm. So they want to protect their partner's feelings. They don't want to hurt their partner's feelings. They want them to feel good and happy about what they did, whether or not you felt good and happy about what they did. Also, not knowing what an orgasm is or what it feels like, what's supposed to actually happen. You can't recognize something that you don't know too much about. The next one is the penetration. If you're only doing sex by engaging in penetration, most women do not orgasm that way. So you want to incorporate some other type of stimulation, preferably clitoral stimulation, in order to see if that's something that will be helpful. And the psychological block. So not having your mind fully present in the moment, being able to really let go, relax. If your body's tense, it's gonna be much more difficult for you to reach a point of having an orgasm. And then also just not liking what you're doing. So sometimes it is the partner and they don't know what they're doing and you're not saying nothing, so they think that they're doing a great job. So it's definitely important to make sure that you're having communication. So even if you didn't orgasm, that doesn't mean you didn't enjoy the sex. And I try to say this as much as I can. It can be great sex. It can be good. It can be a great experience. You can feel connected to the person. You can feel like it was fun. That doesn't mean that you have to orgasm every time. So being able to tell the person that, no, I did not have an orgasm, doesn't mean you suck. And we have to kind of change the narrative around that so that people can understand that. Doesn't mean that it sucked just because you didn't orgasm. It could still be great, still could be fun. But if you do want to experience an orgasm, then most women who have never had one or who have been faking it can have an orgasm. It is possible for them. It's just that we need to work on that. And if that's something that you want to work on, then definitely you want to go ahead and either book the clarity call if you just want a little snippet of working with me, or you can get the course, Better Sex Guide to Confidence, Satisfaction, and Orgasms Without Faking. And the course is currently 50% off. So if you want to get it, this is the time to do so. And it's definitely going to walk you through all of those things, right? So if your concern is hurting somebody's feelings, it helps you with communicating. If you don't know what you like or what feels good to you, it's going to also walk you through exercises to figure out what that is, because we got to figure it out. We got to figure it out. You need to make sure that you're having a good time in those experiences as well, not just your partner. If it's a mental block, we definitely talk about mindset and working about, yes, thank you, Angelique, go get the course. But if it's mindset, if it's something that's mental for you, we talk about mindset and how we can work to change that. So our thought patterns are our thought patterns. We develop them because they work. They serve a purpose at a certain time within our lives, but everything works until it doesn't. So if it's no longer working for you, if it's getting to a point where it's bothering you, go get the course. Go to the link in my Instagram bio, click on my Easy Tree. If you scroll down to courses, it's the only course listed. It's Better Sex Guide to Confidence, Satisfaction, and Orgasms Without Faking. Go get it, because we're not doing that. We're not faking it. We're not settling. If you want more, if you need to do something different, then we're gonna do that. And if you need my help, I got you, because we can't do that no more. I'm sorry. I got really upset when I saw that. I had to post immediately. That really it bothered me. Don't feel like that you have to settle. You don't. We don't do it no more. So that's why someone would fake. The next question is jealousy okay in a relationship? So this, I kind of already responded to this person, and I kind of started with, first let me read the definition, and then I'll explain kind of my line of reasoning here. So jealousy is the state of being jealous, and jealous is feeling or showing envy or being fiercely protective or vigilant of one's rights or possessions. And so typically when it comes to emotions and any emotion, then the emotion itself is not good or bad. It's just what it is. That's just how you feel. Your feelings are always valid because that's what you feel. You should respect and acknowledge those feelings. But it's what we do with the feelings that becomes problematic. So if what we do with our jealousy leads us to pushing someone away, leads us to creating conflict, leads us to negative consequences. So if we go out there acting crazy and we have negative consequences as a result, that is what is problematic. So being jealous, being upset, being protective, none of that is inherently wrong or bad. And I don't like bad and good. I like helpful and unhelpful because that makes more sense. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, but is it helpful or is it unhelpful? Is it going to help you to reach your goal? So if you're jealous because you love this person so much and you don't want to have to share them, or you don't want them to feel like they need to seek refuge elsewhere, is me accusing them of doing something, or me trying to prevent them from talking to other people, or prevent them from experiencing other life experiences without me. So no, you can't go out with your friends. No, you can't talk to this person. You need to block this person. Is that going to make them love me more? Is that going to make them want to be closer to me? Or is that going to push them away? So is it helping me reach my goal of spending my life with this person, having them love me and me love them? That's what you need to ask yourself. So most of the time, people like a little bit of protectiveness, a little bit of that is okay, because most people, if we care about someone or something, we're not just going to let anything happen to them. Of course, we get it. That's not wrong. That's not a bad thing. But how is it that we're protecting? How is it that we're putting those safeguards in place? So setting boundaries is not the same as trying to control another person, because even in us setting our boundaries, we know we can't control anyone else. We're not going to stop them from doing anything, whether we say, I'm never going to talk to you again, or if you do this, then this is what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. They're going to do what they're going to do. But we set the boundaries so that there's an understanding for us to protect ourselves, but also so that they understand where my line is drawn. So it's more so about us. It's not about trying to control the other person. If you're setting boundaries, or if your jealousy is making you try to control the other person, that's when it becomes unhelpful. And usually that's when you experience those negative consequences. So instead of looking at how much is too much, think of it as, what behaviors is this jealousy causing me to do? What is it causing me to act out on? And how are those results helpful or unhelpful? And if you're finding it to be very much unhelpful, then that's when we want to kind of think about what is causing this jealousy, what is the fear or the worry behind it, because usually it's based in fear or worry about something. And then we can kind of unpack it from there. And again, if you need more on that, then definitely get the course. We talk a little bit about building trust and communication so that you're able to express these things in a helpful way. Or if you have a specific situation that you think has a lot of context, a lot of nuances that just cannot be answered here, then go book a clarity call and you get 60 minutes with me and we can kind of discuss it, and I can help you to kind of narrow down some actions that might be helpful along the process for you. So how much is too much with jealousy? Not necessarily the amount of jealousy. The amount of the feeling itself is the behavior. What am I doing with the jealousy? So now that we are kind of halfway through, I do want to reintroduce myself. So I'm Shamaree. I'm a relationship and intimacy coach, and I empower women to get the confidence and pleasure that they deserve so that they no longer settle for lack of satisfaction, especially within relationships. And I do have a few announcements. So I've been telling you guys about my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, do that. at the link in my bio. If you click on that, all the way at the bottom, all of my social media is linked there. So you definitely want to go ahead and follow me on all of those platforms if you have them. But definitely subscribe to the YouTube, turn on the notifications and all of that, because I am going to be releasing videos starting next month. And I already told you guys I'm planning to do like a Freaky Friday, so I'll post videos on Fridays. And that's where we're going to get a little bit more in depth. So here I try to keep it a little PG-13, just so that I don't get booted. But on YouTube, I have a little bit more freedom with what the content is going to be. So some of the big things that I wanted to talk about over there. So some of the things we slightly touched on here. So like as far as the size matter, I know I answered that a little bit, but I did not give any strategies or tools that you can utilize to help make different sizes work. So I do plan to make a video, and it's going to give you tips and tricks to utilize, whether it's too small or too big, to make it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more enjoyable. I do want to talk about the love languages, how to show those in different ways, what to avoid as well, because I think a lot of times we think about how we're showing it, but not necessarily thinking about what things we're doing that may be showing the opposite of what our person's love language is, so, and what message those things could be sending. So I definitely want to do that. Definitely talk a little bit more about fantasies, kinks, and fetishes, and like what the difference is between those and how you figure out if you have any of those. So those are just some examples of the videos that I'll be doing on YouTube. So definitely make sure that you follow. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you're notified as soon as the video goes up. But like I said, next month, May, is when it's starting. So get ready. The other thing is, I mentioned it already, but my calendar for May is also open. Go look. If you want a 60-minute clarity call with me, then go fill that out. It's the link is in the Easy Tree, and it's where everything's gonna be. Go do it. This is your opportunity to get some advice for the free 99. So definitely make sure that you go check it out. But now I want to move on to the next few questions. So the next one is, how do you know someone is marriage material if we're not supposed to act like a wife or a husband before the ring? So first thing I want to say is, like what I always say, you should be defining the rules of your own relationship. So whether society, your mom, your dad, your cousin, your best friend agree with you or not, you make the rules for your relationship. So that's number one. However you feel like your relationship should run, and if it works for all parties involved, then that's all that matters. But what I do want to say, when people say this, what I take it to mean, what I interpret it as, is not doing things that are more so a long-term or permanent commitment, if you're not sure if this person is a long-term or a permanent partner. So that's how I personally interpret that. Now, as far as doing specific things or not doing specific things, I don't think that I ever subscribe to that personally, and obviously professionally. Like I said, you make the rules for your own relationship. Like, who am I to tell you not to do this if it works for you? So I personally, I can tell you, I have not subscribed to that. A lot of the things that people say, like, I feel like I have gone against it even in my personal life with my now husband. He is my boyfriend. We moved across the country together. We had just gotten back together too, by the way. It was like a few months before we decided, let's move 3,000 miles away. So a lot of people would probably say that's not a good idea if that's not your husband or wife, but that's something that I've done. And getting a bank account together. When we moved in together, we had shared expenses, so eventually, not right away, but eventually we did get an account together where we are paying bills together. Like, there's a lot of things that I feel like maybe people would not recommend, but I didn't, and I don't necessarily think that it means I was or was not marriage material, and vice versa. If I don't wash your clothes, or if I do wash your clothes, that doesn't make me more capable of being a wife. I think a lot of the times things that people say you shouldn't do have nothing to do with being a husband or wife. It's more so chores or tasks, and that has very little to do with the success of a relationship. So if I cook, if I clean, if I know how to clean your dirty drawers, if you put gas in my car, you take it to get its oils changed, like, these are not things that determine whether or not someone's going to be a good spouse. Buying or renting a house together, having a shared bank account, none of these things determine the success of a relationship. So like I said, I have never personally subscribed to this. If you do, more power to you. But like I said, make sure that you're defining the rules and regulations when it comes to your own relationship. If you don't feel comfortable doing long-term things with someone you're not sure is going to be long-term, that's totally understandable. I don't think anyone thinks there's anything wrong with that. But as far as wife or husband material, that has to do with their characteristics. Is this person compatible with me? Are we in alignment? Do we have similar values? Do they know how to communicate? Are they mature? Those sorts of things are much more important. And those are things that you should be doing whether you're married to somebody or not. So if I'm an honest person, I'm going to be honest with my partners. I'm going to be honest with my family. I'm going to be honest with my friends. I'm going to be honest at work. So these are things that we show in any context. So I don't think the relationship status necessarily defines that. Let me know if you guys interpret that in a different way than I do, but that's how I think about it, and that's the only way that it makes sense to me, because ain't nobody gonna tell me what the rules of my relationship is. They just not, and I don't intend to do that for anyone else. I am here to help you to clarify what that is and to kind of get down to the core of things so that we can reveal what it is or why it is that you believe certain things. But you make your own rules, so do what feels comfortable for you. And when I say you, I mean all the people within the relationship. So if there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 of y'all, all of y'all need to be on the same accord, and you all need to come to some conclusion as far as what qualities or chores you want your partner to be doing and when. And then we have the last question: where to meet high value men. And when within the context of not these club head type dudes, not that type of man, right? And so what I say is going to be kind of twofold. So one thing is there's going to be men that are potentially good matches for you anywhere. So a lot of times women complain and they'll say, oh, I don't want to meet a guy at a club or at the bar because that's a certain type of guy. And that may be true for some of them. But these are the same women that will go to the club or a bar if it's their friend's birthday, or if someone got a promotion, we're going out, we're celebrating, right? So you're in that club or bar too. So are you not a high value woman because you're in there? So I say that to say, do not have a completely closed mind, because you can meet someone potentially anywhere. You in that club too, and that doesn't change the quality of person that you are. You still are who you are. You just maybe wanted to be in a social environment with your friends. Maybe you're celebrating a special occasion, or maybe you just like to dance and listen to music, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So I don't want you to kind of close yourself off completely to that. If that's not your scene, then I wouldn't go look for someone within those scenes, because you don't want to look for someone that's not going to be in alignment, right? So if I hate swimming, I'm not going to go to the pool and look for someone who's in a pool doing the backstroke, because maybe I don't want someone who's like that, because then that's going to be a huge part of their life, and then I'm not going to be a part of it because I have no desire to. And that's probably a bad example, but you know what I mean. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're looking for someone who's not going to be in alignment with you. So if that's not your scene, you're not attracted to anyone there, don't force it, but keep an open mind. I met my husband at Toys R Us. We were both working there, part-time jobs while we were in school. And so I typically was someone, I had a bachelor's degree and everything, but I was working at Toys R Us because I'm in school and I need flexible hours, right? So that's not typically somewhere where you would find me. I ain't no kids, he ain't no kids. We would not be in there ordinarily. And it's not something that I would seek out, like someone who works part-time retail, right? But you never know. You never know. I was in there. And like I said, I had my own place, my own car. I was in grad school. I already had 2 bachelor's degrees. Like, you never know. But the other side of that is you need to go where those type of men would be. So maybe it's not the club. Maybe not, right? But where would the type of man that you're looking for be? So if this is someone who is interested in finance or interested in stocks, if there's conferences like that or talks like that in your area, going to things like that where they're going to be, because that's their hobby, that's what they love, right? What else do they like to do? They like sports. So if they like a certain sport, making sure that you're going to those type of sporting events, right? Or going to places where they're viewing of the sporting events, right? So putting yourself in those situations is going to increase the chances that you're going to find someone that has that interest. And don't do these things if you hate sports. Don't like go and show up at all the sporting events, or if you hate the idea of learning stocks, if it's too overwhelming for you, don't kind of force it just to say you have a high value man, because yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, put yourself in those situations where those types of men would be, going to nice hotels or nice events, even just like the grocery store, like making sure that you're keeping a pleasant aura about you, but keeping an open mind, because you never know. And that's what I'm gonna say, because people love to ask me, where'd you meet your man? Toys R Us, and we was both in there making like $7 something an hour. So it's not what you think all the time, right? So just keep that in mind. That's the last question for today. If you have more questions, make sure you submit them in my story throughout the week. If it's too long, or if it's something that has a lot of context, a lot of specific circumstances, then book a clarity call with me. 60 minutes, no charge to you. If you still want to work with me after that, then we can make that happen. But the clarity call itself is not something that you have to pay for. Again, like the first question, if you're having issues with the orgasms, or even if you've just been faking like you feel great about yourself, if you don't feel sexy, you don't feel empowered, you don't feel confident in your abilities, things like that, the course is very good for that. Better Sex Guide to Confidence, Satisfaction, Orgasms Without Faking. Go follow me on Instagram if you're not doing it. Go do that now, because the live is almost over. Do it now. Follow me everywhere. Subscribe to the YouTube. I'm Shamaree. I'm a relationship and intimacy coach, and I empower women to get the confidence and pleasure that they deserve, so that they no longer settle for lack of satisfaction. Definitely comment below. Leave hashtag replay if you're watching this later on. But shout out to everyone who came. Angelique, Lisa, especially. So, yeah, I'm out of here. I have a meeting in a little bit. So, enjoy your evening. I'll see you guys later.